Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular council meeting of Tuesday, August 26, 2025. We will begin with our land acknowledgement statement. We would like to acknowledge the land on which we meet today. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Algonquin Nation. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on this land. Thank you, Mayor Wren.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our regular council meeting of August the 26th. It's a pleasure to call the meeting to order. We have quorum present. We do have regrets from Councillor Wales, who's taking some vacation this week, and welcome to Councillor Lavergne, who's joining us virtually today. Other than that, everyone is in chambers. Special welcome to members of Brockville Police Services who are joining us today due to an item on the agenda. We have Chief Noonan, Deputy Chief Harvey, Inspector Boyd, and the chair of the Brockville Police Services Board, Junior Yee, in the room. And due to some aspects of Mayor's remarks in a few minutes, we have representatives of the Leeds and Grenville United Way with us, the Executive Director, Haley Jack, Board Member Darren Gallagher, and member of staff, Melissa, is here. So welcome to all of you. We'll begin just with a few remarks, and we haven't met since last month, and you kindly allowed me to take a little vacation after my daughter's wedding. So I haven't been in this chair since June. So I might have a couple things to say, but I'll try and keep it short. So first, a warm welcome back to all. Summer's not quite over yet, of course, but we will be returning to our regular council and committee schedule following this meeting. So all the regular committee dates and so forth will resume as normal next month, and the regular council meetings on the second and fourth Tuesdays. But trusting everyone had a wonderful summer and well-deserved break. Just want to, on that note, remind all of our residents that, of course, schools are returning. One of the boards returned today, and the remainder returned to school on Tuesday after Labor Day next week. The crossing guards through our partners, the Ottawa Safety Council, will be back on duty, and of course, the buses will be back on the road. So we just want to remind everyone to take extra care, watch out for our young students, and let's all ensure that this is a very safe return to school once again this year. There are a number of construction projects still underway, and one major one, thankfully, about to complete. So please be aware that repaving is taking place citywide in various areas, but that's scheduled to create fairly minimal traffic disruptions as that work is carried out. The King Street East Water Main project is on schedule, and it will conclude as planned at the end of September or early October. And yes, we're aware of the new Swiftwater School in the area, but 90% of the students that attend that school are bused there. And just like last year, the board has been working closely with city staff to make sure that traffic flows around the construction area without causing too much difficulty. So again, that project is to conclude as scheduled by the end of September. And later this week, we'll see the reopening of the William Street overpass. That's, of course, been a major inconvenience for all of us since about February. So we're all looking forward to that. Both city staff and the contractors are working to remove the construction materials and infrastructure from the site. And we are on target to have the overpass open by the weekend. Can't give you an exact date or time, but it will be opened as soon as everything is removed from the site. A little bit of paving to do on the two approaches, but even if the structure is reopened, that work can take place, with traffic moving through with lane reduction. So that will all get finished in the next few days, and we're really pleased about that. Related to that, we have received a number of concerns about the CN crossings in the city, particularly Perth Street, and we certainly share those concerns. And if we could go out there and fix it ourselves, we would, but we can't because CN Rail is responsible for those crossings, and the city cannot do any work on them. Both city staff and I have been in regular contact with CN, appealing to them to repair the crossing, and I spoke with their officials in person at the AMO conference in Ottawa last week. Yesterday, I finally received formal confirmation that the work is planned to be completed during this calendar year. I did not get an exact date, but that's better than them saying it won't be completed this year. So hopefully this fall, CN will complete that work. So again, we know this is frustrating, but unfortunately, it's a bit beyond the city's control, and we've tried to advocate in any way possible to get that done. To touch on some events, of course, we've had a wonderful summer of events in the city, and they're not over yet. Want to encourage everyone to take note that this coming weekend, we have the 20th edition of the Red Hot and Blue Rockabilly Weekend happening in downtown Brockville, principally at the Arts Hub. On behalf of council, I want to wish our colleague, Councillor Lavergne, the very best for a successful weekend for this festival, which she is a key leader in. And Councillor, not to put you on the spot, but do you wish to add anything about events of this weekend?
Well, thank you, Your Worship, and thank you for the great word. It's the 20th edition. It's going to be the last one. We're closing that chapter of the RHB. And Saturday, I know it's supposed to be cloudy, but we're organizing a beach party at St. Lawrence Park. It's free. Everyone are welcome to come. There's going to be some vendors. There's going to be jive lesson and 2 surf band playing. So it's going to be just a great time to wrap the summer, and it's free at St. Lawrence Park. If you look online at www.rhbweekend.ca, you have the full schedule and everything. So welcome, everyone. Cannot wait to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, and good luck for a successful weekend. The following weekend, we have the St. Lawrence Writers Festival, which is a vibrant new arts event in Brockville, running from September 5th to the 7th at the Arts Hub at 32 Park Street. And this all-Canadian festival celebrates the power of words through engaging panels, author talks, poetry, comedy, and unique events. Highlights include the award-winning writer Wayne Johnson and best-selling authors Linwood Barclay and Terry Fallis, as well as CBC's Ali Hassan comedy show and more. On that note, I know Councillor Hobbs is very involved with that particular event. And if there's anything that you have to add, Councillor, please feel free to do so.
Thanks so much, Your Worship. Yeah, so it's the inaugural festival, and we're so pleased to have these 32 authors that are coming, and they are pretty much all award-winning authors. And so that's very exciting. We're doing a lot of different events as well, like Councillor Lavergne. We're having a horror night cruise on the Friday night with 4 horror writers. Can't guarantee you'll get off the boat safely, but that's the chance you take when you buy those tickets. And then we have a couple of other things going on. The Brockville Arts Centre is putting on a show on Saturday night called Write 'em Up. And so if you are sitting around at home, you should go and see that. And we're having Ali Hassan perform an hour of comedy at 9:30 after that show. So, and Sunday is pretty much all mystery writers. And our very own Ron Zajac is taking part in it as well. He's one of the moderators for one of the panels. So that's Saturday. And anyway, lots of people involved, and Medium Effort is putting on a graphic artist workshop. And for young people that have always wanted to create a zine, whatever that is, they can go and have a 2-hour workshop, and they will walk out of there with a zine after having coaching from 2 graphic novelists. So lots of things going on, something for everyone.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Takeaway from that is if you do the boat cruise, bring a life jacket. All right. Thank you. So a huge thank you to all the organizations and volunteers, both these upcoming events and all the wonderful events that have happened this summer. And, thank you, Councillor Lavergne.
Yes, I just wanted to say that the zine is a fanzine, so it's kind of a small magazine, or underground magazine, normally printed at limited edition.
Thank you for that. Very well. So best wishes to all of you in your hard work on behalf of the community, and we look forward to these great events and many more to happen later this fall. So I want to conclude my remarks by just taking a few moments to speak about the devastating fire that occurred last week on Windsor Drive. Anytime there's a structure fire in our city, of course, it's a great concern. But the magnitude of the fire at the apartment complex at 95 Windsor is very substantial. The latest update that I've received indicates that the building is fully non-inhabitable at this time. I understand there's a total of 28 units. For one group of residents on the lower floors who originally thought they might be able to return in a few days, they'll be displaced for a few months, unfortunately. And residents of the remaining 2 floors that have more substantial damage could be upwards of a year or more while reparations are being made to the building. I'm not sure our city has ever experienced a situation displacing this many people at once, at least certainly not in recent memory. And therefore, as a result of the number of people affected, the response has been extremely complex and far-reaching. I'd like to tonight acknowledge a number of things. And first of all, we want to, of course, hold in our hearts the memory of the resident who tragically lost her life, and offer strength to those who are recovering from injuries. Certainly the thoughts and prayers of council and the broader community are with all of those and their loved ones at this time. And we want to extend thank you bonded the night of the fire. When I arrived, Councillor Kalivas was on scene because he and his family have a direct attachment to the building. And so to speak about some of those acknowledgements, I'd like to turn the floor to Councillor Kalivas at this time.
Thank you, Your Worship. I appreciate that. And yeah, it's been some difficult time for the last week or so. I don't normally write things down, but I did at this particular time. As you know, I usually wing it, but I'm not going to do that this evening. On behalf of the residents and unit owners impacted by this tragic fire at 95 Windsor Drive last Wednesday evening, August the 20th, I want to extend sincere thanks and appreciation to all responders and to those who assisted and continue to assist in the response effort. In an instant, 28 households were displaced from their homes and one resident tragically lost her life. Our sympathy goes out to her family and friends. The response and assistance by those who responded that evening was not only very professional and skilled, but also very kind and caring. A sincere thank you to all those who assisted, including the Brockville Fire Department, Elizabethtown Kittley Fire Department, Brockville Police Services, EMS, Leeds Granville, our emergency medical services, including medical responses at the Brockville General Hospital, the Office of the Fire Marshal and the Chief Coroner, Victim Services, Brockville Transit, Leeds and Grenville Social Services Team, the Comfort Inn, and Bethel Christian Reformed Church. And to the Mayor for visiting the scene, speaking to residents and neighbors, and to the area residents who responded and provided lawn chairs, blankets, and opened their home for washroom use for evacuated residents. A community lost their homes and one of their own members, and a wider community responded immediately by coming to their aid. It was remarkable to witness the response by all those involved. We are fortunate to have such an incredible emergency response team in our midst, and we thank everyone. I really, from the bottom of our hearts, it was something. As I said, I was there, I witnessed it, and I'm telling you right now, these people are incredible. They deserve our thank you every day. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kalivas. And yes, I'll certainly reiterate what you said. We know all these organizations and agencies. We know the work they do. They come to chambers and present to us from time to time. But to see it all in action is it really hits home how important it is that we have all these supports in place. Moving forward, these residents will be impacted for some time to come. And it's clear they're grappling with some fairly urgent challenges. Some are delayed in sorting out tenant insurance benefits. Some don't have coverage at all, sadly. There will be difficulty securing temporary housing, and of course, the loss of essential personal belongings. As such, I've been working very closely with the United Way of Leeds and Grenville and the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville. This evening would like to issue a community appeal to anyone who might be in a position to contribute. So how can you help? In response, the United Way of Leeds and Grenville is taking action through two important community supports. They have an existing urgent needs fund already in place. This fund provides direct supports to individuals and families facing urgent unexpected needs, including those affected by the fire on Windsor Drive. And in response to this particular situation, the United Way is today launching an emergency response grant. This grant will strengthen frontline agencies so they can respond quickly and effectively during emergencies like this and in future crises. So if you're in a position to help, I would urge you to please consider donating to the United Way of Leeds and Grenville, in particular the new emergency response fund. Every contribution will make a meaningful difference, and the United Way will ensure that the funds are carefully managed and directed to support those most in need. That's today with the victims of the Windsor Drive fire, and this fund will continue into the future to be there to respond should a similar situation arise in the future. All these donations will be eligible for a charitable tax receipt, and tomorrow the city and the United Way will distribute information broadly that will include all the links and how to go about making a contribution. So as we rally around our neighbors in the days ahead, I hope many will be able to step forward and provide assistance and help the United Way and these other wonderful agencies in our community in the work that they do. And while we don't normally have questions of people at this point in an agenda, I would take a moment if any councillors do have questions for the United Way on how the fund will be structured and managed. If not, and you think of questions after, by all means, reach out to Ms. Jack and her team, and they'll be happy to answer your questions as well. But if there are any questions, we'll take a moment now. All right, fair enough. Well, thank you all. And we'll move forward with our agenda at this time. So I would just ask if there's any disclosure of pecuniary interest and the nature thereof. All right, seeing none. The first item on our agenda is the adoption of council minutes. The motion is that the minutes of the council meeting of July 22nd, 2025 be adopted and circulated as read. Councillor Kalivas, are you willing to move? Councillor Fullarton, will you second? Is there any discussion, questions, errors, or omissions in the minutes? Right. Seeing none, by show of hands, all in favor? And that's carried. The next is appointment to boards and committees, and I'll ask Councillor Earle if you will move that motion, please.
Yes, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Deery that Les Winters and Tracy Hughes be added to the DBIA Board of Directors, and that the resignation of Evan Buck and Deborah Lawrence from the DBI Board of Directors be accepted, and that the resignation of Kate McKinnon from the Brockville Public Library Board be accepted, and that the necessary bylaws be enacted. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Earle and Councillor Deery. Any discussion? By show of hands, all in favor? That's carried. We don't have any delegations or staff reports this afternoon. The Planning and Development Committee meeting was not necessary in August, so no agenda there. Next is the General Committee, which has a consent agenda. I'll go to Councillor Fullarton for that. I understand at least one item will be removed, Councillor, but over to you, please.
Thank you. Your worship, all matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. Should a council member wish an alternate action from the proposed recommendation, the council member shall request that the matter be moved to separate the item. Are there any?
Councillor Deery.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to remove item number 1.
Any others? Councillor Earle.
I would like either to remove or have a comment on item 3. Your choice of which to choose to go.
Sure. Thank you. Well, let's get them on the floor, and then we could take your comment after they're all on the table.
Okay, so shall we just consider 1 and 3 as a regular agenda, and we'll.
Why don't we do that? That would be
Yeah,
an easier
okay.
process.
Okay. I wonder, Councillor Hobbs, would you take item number 2? And Councillor Severson, would you take item number 4? And I'll do number 5.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item number 2, 2025-138, the fire station backup generator installation. That the installation of a backup power generator at fire station number 1 be deferred for consideration during the 2026 capital budget deliberations, and that additional expenses of $72,393.22 be approved to complete the installation of the replacement backup power generator at fire station number 2 in accordance with the results of the public tendering, and that the additional project expenses to be funded by the Canada Community Building Fund.
Item number 4, 2025-131, revision to the community grant policy. That the current community grants policy be repealed and replaced with the attached festival and event grant policy, and that a revised application and scoring rubric be developed in advance of the fall intake.
Item number 5, 2025-136, 2023 to 2026 strategic priorities update, June 2025. This report's for information purposes.
Thank you. So that's our consent agenda, again moved by Councillor Fullarton, and just to read into the record, Councillor Severson, you'll second the consent agenda motion. Thank you. We'll call the roll.
Thank you, Mayor Wren. On the matter before you, Councillor Deery, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Earle,
Yes.
Councillor Fullarton,
Yes.
Councillor Hobbs,
Yes.
Councillor Kalivas.
Yes.
Councillor Lavergne,
Yes.
Councillor Severson,
Yes.
Mayor Wren.
Yes,
That's carried. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
So we have item number 1, 2025-139, revised police services reserve fund. That a reserve fund for the police services be created and that the necessary bylaw be enacted.
Thank you. Councillor Severson, will you second that one as well? Thank you. I know Councillor Deery would like to speak about this, but before I open the floor to him and other councillors for questions or comments, we have 2 appointed council members who sit on the Brockville Police Services Board, the board that has brought this request before our council. So I was speaking with Councillor Kalivas earlier, and I would just like to offer him the opportunity to speak from his perspective as a member of that board on the rationale from the board's perspective and his.
Thank you, Your Worship. You know, in the number of years in the past, I wasn't exactly a favor of having a reserve fund for the police services board, but this particular time around, I started as I'm serving on the board longer and seeing what's happening in policing. I've come to the conclusion that I think it's not a bad idea. You know, the funds that are being generated by the police record checks, for instance, are a big help to the city of Brockville budget, as well as the city of Brockville budget, and the police board budget, I should say. You know, when we were talking about the reserve, it's not like we were at the board level, we were simply trying to talk about how to enhance policing. And that's really what it was all about. So we thought that, you know, certain times during the year, there are opportunities that you can access certain things, but you need funds, and in order to get another program going in the middle of the term, middle of the year, without having to go back to city council for approval for extra funds, you have that reserve fund. You can act quickly and you can make things happen. The thought that we've done here now is we've also done a split between the fact that half of it goes towards the building fund for a new facility for the police facility, and also the second will just be part for the police services board to enhance policing as well. In both cases, the 50% for the building and the 50% for policing are both enhancing policing. So it's all about, there are no wasted taxpayers' dollars here. It's simply about moving forward with an opportunity to have the police board act quickly when opportunities arise, and policing happens. We as a municipality, on occasion, it's happened many times, that we're all of a sudden asking the Police Services Board to, would you consider some extra policing down on Blockhouse Island or on King Street? And why are we not seeing foot people going up and down, police officers going up and down King Street? Well, you can only do so much with your budget. Sometimes those can become overtime hours or whatever the case may be. This is an opportunity for the Police Services Board and the police services to be able to enhance policing, save for a building fund, and I just think at this particular time, it's the right thing to do. That's it.
Thanks very much. We'll go to Councillor Deery. And then I've got Councillor Severson.
Thank you, Marilyn. And thank you, Councillor Kalivas, for the comments. So we've had quite a bit of conversation over the last couple of general meetings. And the first thing I want to just say is I want to recognize that the comments that I'm about to make are not reflective of the current police board. They're certainly not reflective of the police chief. And I want to recognize also that the uniqueness, obviously, of the funds and where they're coming from. So, and again, I think every member of our council feels very fortunate that we're able to offset some of our policing costs because of this unique funding mechanism that we have. The intent of my comments, and I don't think that I did a great job in the past expressing sort of where I'm coming from with this, is the intent is really to identify best practices, to identify what we consider good governance, and obviously I wanted to talk a bit about just the transparency of it. So much like Councillor Kalivas, I don't want to just go off the cuff here, so I made some notes. So obviously any special reserves or discretionary reserve funds, I know the term discretionary is kind of frowned upon. I know it's not the intent, so I'll just start with that. It is generally discouraged because it does raise serious concerns about accountability, transparency, governance, and fairness. So here are some of the key reasons that I've identified. Accountability and oversight. Police forces are publicly funded and they must be accountable to elected officials or for oversight boards. And I realize that the police board, they scrutinize everything to try to provide the best service possible, understanding that there is limits to the budget that we're able to provide. And they make the decisions in terms of how we police. We make no of those decisions, none of those decisions. Discretionary reserves can be spent without proper scrutiny, though, and weakening checks and balances. And it becomes harder for councillors, auditors, and public to track whether the funds are used appropriately. And again, I'm not referring to the current board, but we have to also think about when we put policies in place, how this will impact both future councils and future police boards. The second issue is transparency. So public budgets are subject to opening report requirements. Discretionary reserves often aren't. And again, I apologize for the term discretionary. It's hard to mention it talk about this without mentioning it. This can conceal how much money the police truly have available and leading to misleading budget requests. It also undermines public trust if the citizens suspect or make the false assumption that these are slush funds or hidden funds from them. Then there's the issue of equity and fairness. So when police services already receive priority funding in many municipalities, allowing them to hold separate reserves can create an imbalance compared to other essential services like fire, EHS, housing, social services. It could lead to overfunding of the police at the expense of underfunding community programs that also contribute to safety. And then there's a concern of misuse or mission creep. So without strict rules, these reserves could be used for controversial programs or purchases. An example might be surveillance tech, military style equipment, helicopters, you name it. This would be at the discretion, this is why I choose that word, of the Police Services Board. And there's an increased risk of resources being diverted away from the core policing functions. Again, not that I'm concerned that our current situation is, but again, I'm looking at future councils and future boards. The fifth is financial governance. So in public sector accounting, municipalities are supposed to manage reserves centrally for the consistency and efficiency. And if police forces manage their own funds, it fragments financial governance, leading to inefficiencies and potential duplication. And lastly, public trust and legitimacy. Communities expect policing to be funded openly and democratically. Transparency is critical. The idea of discretionary police reserves, or call them police reserves, can create perceptions of corruption, favoritism, or misuse of public funding, and it can erode trust. So I know that we've had lots of discussion on this. I know that my peers don't necessarily agree. At the end, I think it's fantastic that we're talking about allocating funds directly towards a facility, which we all know is going to be a big hit. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And I said right from the onset that, you know, if the surpluses were dedicated solely to that, you know, in this case, I would see it as completely appropriate. And I would say that it doesn't put any of those other factors that I discussed, put them at risk. So our council, and I said this at both of my previous meetings, our council has always been and will always be, as long as I'm on council, I'll be very supportive of the needs of our policing, because I think it's critical, obviously, to our community. And I also recognize what Councillor Kalivas says, is that we have a changing environment right now. Policing is a much different profession than it was 5, 10, 15 years ago. The challenges that the police face today, it's unrecognizable for what we had 20 years ago, particularly with fentanyl and all different types of things that we didn't really have to deal with. And so, you know, I'm definitely empathetic towards the need to be able to react and respond quickly. But I think that, you know, since I've been on this council since 2014, there's never been a time where police have come to us and said, we need something, and council has said no. And I think it was Mr. Yee said that, you know, we don't particularly decide on how the policing is done. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I don't want to start deciding on how police should operate. If they want to put a beat cop on downtown and they feel that that's necessary, then that's what's necessary. So I don't want to beat this to death, but I do think I have a responsibility here to communicate these points. And I do appreciate the points that Councillor Kalivas has said, and I respect your opinion for sure. But I would like to see, again, I don't feel comfortable making this change, and it's not because of where we are today. It's because of where we'll be tomorrow, or someone else could be. So I'll listen with intent from my peers, and maybe they can persuade me another way. So.
Thank you, Councillor Deery. Councillor Severson, you're next.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think I'll save my comments maybe till the end, because I think maybe we should hear from board members or the police chief. I'm going to save mine. Do you want me to speak now?
Yeah, the police chief won't be speaking. It's not a
won't be?
delegation. I
Oh.
mean, they are here to answer a question, Councillor,
Okay.
but no, this is your time to share your perspective on this. So we look forward to
Okay.
hearing from you.
Okay. Well, mine won't be long. The criminal checks funds, when they were originated, like, we have had the benefit of that all these years. And I'm uncomfortable with the word corruption, because I feel like, I mean, our police force has the added duties now of looking after homeless encampments. That's an added pressure that they have every day. And I have all the confidence in the board now, as I did previously when I was on council, that the police board take very seriously their budgets and their the way they spend their money. And so I feel like half of it going to the building fund and half of it going to a reserve fund, as Councillor Kalivas said, to be used towards things that come up that they wouldn't have to come for council. If nothing comes up, then I'm sure the money would stay in the reserve. I have full trust in the board of the day and of our police force. So I'll be voting in favor of it, because I just trust the process. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Severson. Councillor Earle, the floor is yours.
Well, there's two issues at stake. The first one is there's a reason why the police board is separate from council and politics. And you don't have to look any further than what's going on down south right now when politics tries to take over policing and the court system. There's a definite division so that the two are not mixed up. That's why police commissions are separate from councils, so that they are less politically inclined. And I think that hopefully that would answer a lot of Phil's questions on why it is. The second question is on, really it revolves around reserve funds in general. Reserve funds aren't new. We have one for the water reserve fund. We have a fiscal reserve fund. We have a sewer reserve fund. We have, how many reserve funds would we have, Sandy? You need all your fingers to count them. So this isn't new that we have reserve funds. And you know, the where they're going to be spent is laid out in the motion. Maybe it's because I sit there, but I don't have it in trouble with the integrity of the people on the board. Nor the openness. The press comes to almost all the police board meetings, and other than, you know, personnel and criminal things, the same as, you know, we have in camera parts of this council, they have in camera parts of theirs. So, you know, as I see no issues on openness and transparency and all that. Now, the one thing that is very different with the police board is that through their own business acumen, they have raised a lot of money, and they're looking at putting some of that money into places where they can use it and access it very quickly. Now, the nice thing about this money is that most of it is not Brockville taxpayer money. It comes from background checks and things that come from other places. So, you know, contrary to most of our reserve funds that we fund out of our tax dollars, this one is, for the most part, there would be some portion that would come from citizen taxpayers, but most of this is revenue generated from outside the city limits, which is a good thing. I think most of our citizens appreciate any money that flows into here, whether it comes from the province, the federal government, or the Brockville City Police. So I have no issues with them being allotted to be able to spend part of their money, and the way they've divided it up was on services and on structure. That makes good sense. That's why we have reserve funds. You know, we have a sewer reserve fund, so that if we need something in there in the sewer side of our plumbing, that we have access to it and you don't have to immediately put it on a tax bill. Same with the water and all the other services, parking reserve fund, and you know, that's what they're there for. So I don't see this being any different than any of our reserve funds. Over time, there have been people question reserve funds and how big they are, because they're worried about keeping the taxpayers' money and whether that should be kept in the taxpayer's pocket or the government's pocket. But in this case, this is a little different scenario, because most of this money does not come from our taxpayers. So that argument doesn't even hold for this. So I will be voting in favor of this because I trust the police board to do the right thing. And I think that it's a unique situation in the city, is that we are generating revenue and saving the tax dollars money. And I kind of like that idea. I can't speak for everybody else, but it sounds like a good plan to me.
Thanks, Councillor Earle. Next I have Councillor Fullarton, and I also recognize Councillor Hobbs to follow.
Thank you, Your Worship. I agree with Councillor Earle. I think that the police service has created the majority of this revenue through the criminal record checks. And when we got the report through council, we could see that over the last 10 years, there was a surplus in revenue for criminal record checks in the neighborhood of $900,000. So a significant amount of money, but a significant amount of years as well. So we're not talking about that this is suddenly going to be a huge, fund sitting there that they're going to be buying a helicopter or anything like that with. I think that the fact that it came from the police initiative and that this fund has been bringing in, the criminal record checks has been bringing in around $1 million a year into the basically what is the city coffers to help us pay for policing is a large part of why we should allow this. I think the board is coming to us now and saying they would like to have the autonomy to react to in-year budget requirements that that they might have. The board is made up of councillor appointees, of then a couple of councillors, and provincial appointees. So I have every confidence in the board's expertise and their ability to manage a reserve fund. So again, I'm not concerned about that. And I think that as a council, we certainly know that we in year regularly access the fiscal policy reserve because something comes up that was an extraordinary expense that was not planned for or not foreseen during budget time. And we have that that fiscal policy reserve that enables us to pay for some of those things and to respond in year to whether it be an emergency or an opportunity to buy something that is not in our budget. I think it's reasonable for a board like the Police Service Board to also hope that they could do that as well, and that they could have access to those types of funds. So I think that the funds could enable the police services to react quickly and with flexibility to meet unforeseen circumstances. And we're able to do that in this chamber. And I agree with allowing that board to have that opportunity as well. And particularly because it's with money that they've earned themselves. And I think that's an important distinction in this particular case and with this particular request.
Thank you. Councillor Hobbs.
Thank you, Your
See
Worship.
you, Councillor Lavergne. Thank you.
I also am in support of the police board and the police reserve fund. And as Councillor Earle mentioned, we don't have direct control over police activities or their budget, and for darn good reason, because we just have no expertise in that arena. We don't know how many guns they need, how many of anything they need. And so I would hate to think that a very urgent and necessary community activity didn't take place because the police had to wait and come to council for some kind of an approval on something that we really are not at all experts on. So I am fully in agreement with the police board and the request for the fund. And I think it will enhance policing and give them more ability to work faster. And we know we have quite a few problems out in the community that are not simple and not cheap. So I'm going to be voting in favor. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Hobbs. Councillor Lavergne.
Thank you, Your Worship. Well, I think my peers have said it all. I'm also fully in favor and supportive of the board request, so I'm going to be also voting in favor tonight.
Thank you very much. Councillor Kalivas.
Just one, and Phil, you did a good job here. That's no problem. So it's all good questions. So the only thing I just want to ensure, let you know that as far as transparency and as far as what we do at the police board, every penny that is going to be spent out of that surplus on policing or whatever else is going to be logged, and it's going to be presented to council that year or the following year, whenever we do that. So we are not going to be spending any money that council and the public will not know about.
Councillor Deery.
Thank you, and I appreciate that, Councillor Kalivas, and I appreciate all the comments from my peers. This is why we have a 9-member committee here. This is the sort of questions that we want to be able to ask. You know, as I said at the beginning, I don't question the integrity of the people that are currently in these roles, and I have a lot of respect for the chief and all the members of the board and our officers on duty. So I am going to vote in favor. I'm swayed by my peers, and I think it makes good sense. I do want to say the uniqueness again of the source of funding is an incredibly big part of my decision here. So I appreciate all my peers and I respect your opinions, and I definitely am swayed in the right direction, I would think. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Deery. I think the media just missed the headline, but they'll get the recording. I unfortunately, the general committee meeting happened when we were at AMO. I didn't get a chance to participate in the discussion the other day, so I just have a couple of technical questions if I could take the opportunity to get them answered. I think Councillor Kalivas just answered one. Councillor Deery was asking about transparency, etc. So it sounds like there will be periodic reporting, probably at the budget process, the year-end wrap up. But the city manager, has that been discussed with the police services board as to how reporting will be done, or can you just assure us that it will happen in due course?
It will happen in due course. It is part of our regular process with variance reports, and the Police Services Board will report accordingly.
Thank you so much. My second question, that we're speaking about a new building, the possibility of a new building for Brockville Police Services. It's been referenced heavily in this report. It's been touched on a couple of times here in chambers, but it is a topic that the Brockville Police Services Board is deeply involved in, but Brockville City Council so far has not been deeply involved in. And I suspect that there will be members of the community maybe hearing for the first time any discussion about a new Brockville Police Services facility. And I'm not here to debate whether or not that should happen, but I would like to ask, I'll start with the city manager, and you can refer this question as you see fit, Sandy, but at what point will council be having a discussion about that, the opportunity to weigh in about that, and will it ultimately be a council decision whether to build a new facility for the Brockville Police Services, or is it a Police Services Board decision?
Your worship, through you, we would expect that this will come forward as we present our capital planning. And it is not unusual that we review all of our facilities and determine that they have a life cycle or require significant upgrade or renovation. So that will come forward in the 10-year capital plan. It will be identified as with all of our other assets. And we expect that, well, actually, Chief Noonan will be able to provide more information. It has been something that's being talked about, and it will come forward, but Chief will provide details.
Thank you. So I guess as head of council, I'd just like to assure the community that there's still a discussion to be had about this. There's been no decision behind the scenes that the public hasn't been aware of about a major capital project. So stay tuned, I guess, is the message on that. And just in closing, and it's clear that this motion will pass, and I think it's pretty clear that it's probably going to pass unanimously, which is wonderful, because from the time I have taken a seat in the back corner there in this chamber, and our police know this, and our board knows this, that this council is 100% behind them all the way. And I'm truly appreciative of the quality of service that is provided in our community. We had a good discussion here. It's good this discussion happened so the community could understand what we're trying to accomplish, and questions raised in no way reflect the great value we place on the services that Brockville Police provide in the community. So with that, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Thank you, Mayor Wren. On the matter before you, Councillor Deery, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Earle,
Yes.
Councillor Fullarton,
Yes.
Councillor Hobbs,
Yes.
Councillor Kalivas,
Yes.
Councillor Lavergne,
Yes.
Councillor Severson,
Yes.
Mayor Wren.
Yes,
That's carried. Thank you.
thank you. And we have one remaining item from the consent agenda that was removed. So back to Councillor Fullarton. We're good.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would move item number 3, 2025-137, 2026 municipal election alternative voting method, that the alternative voting method, telephone and internet voting, be approved for the 2026 municipal election, and that the necessary bylaw be prepared.
Thank you. And again, Councillor Severson, you'll second that motion? Thank you. I know Councillor Earle had a question or a comment about it.
My comment is not about the math, it's a savings. We've been using internet and telephone for several years. But what I wonder is that we've done all the homework on this. The real problem with the election, to me, is that we're getting about 30% turnout. And so I think, if we had to focus on a problem, it's not the 12,000 a year that we put aside for elections. It's how many people are coming out to election, and maybe there should be, probably at least a public committee or something. We should consider the possibility of how do we get a larger voter turnout. We have 30% of the people now electing government, and honestly, I don't think that's enough.
Good comments, Councillor Earle, and the city manager would like to comment as well.
Through your worship, I will just report that our typical turnout for Brockville is generally higher than provincial average when we have a regular election, meaning that there's no acclamations. So in that respect, we are lucky in some aspects, but we are enhancing all of our education, and especially with the substantial change that we faced in this last year with regard to legislation and the strong mayor powers. There will be additional education sessions for the public. And as well, there's been a significant change with Elections Ontario now taking over the voters list. So all of those changes will just bring more awareness to the public about a municipal election.
Thanks, Sandy. And we did attend together a session at AMO last week presented by the Chief Electoral Officer of Ontario, which is pretty interesting. But I do think that people should pay attention this time around to the marketing and education the city will put out and Elections Ontario will put out, because the voters list is now the provincial voters list. And let's all remember that provincially you can only vote once. Where you're on the voters list, but you could own multiple properties in multiple municipalities, and some people that are a provincial voter in Augusta might own a piece of property in Brockville and would need to make sure in this transition that they're covered off. And so there is a website. I think you can check it today, in fact, and the city will help get that information out. But I think especially this time around, everybody should make sure and check that they're on the list. And if you're not on the list, it takes literally seconds to rectify that online. So again, the city will do all it can to get the information out. Any further discussion? Councillor Severson?
I didn't ask this question at committee because after reading it, I was wondering, it says with kiosks available throughout this or additional, so maybe somebody could tell me, because I know we had them at City Hall, I think at nursing homes. Are we going to have more voting centers?
Ms. Earle?
Thank you. Through you, we're still working at those details. We're quite a ways out, but there will be opportunities for the public to attend a physical location, whether it be here or at the Memorial Center, and vote electronically that way. And we also are obligated to attend retirement homes and long-term care homes. So we'll be doing that as well.
Okay. Anything further? All right. Seeing no further discussion, we'll call the question.
Thank you, Your Worship. On the matter before you, Councillor Deery, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councillor Earle?
Yes.
Councillor Fullarton?
Yes.
Councillor Hobbs?
Yes.
Councillor Kalivas?
Yes.
Councillor Lavergne?
Yes.
Councillor Severson?
Yes.
Mayor Wren?
Yes.
That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Under new business, so this is our meeting by meeting report from members of council on boards and committees that you're sitting on. I'll go through the list of committees that we'll report on at this meeting. A different group gets reported on at the next meeting. And just a reminder to members that if there's nothing to report or in the summer, maybe there hasn't been a meeting, feel free to pass. If there's nothing to report, that's certainly fine. So first we have the Conservation Authority, and that's Councillor Hobbs and Councillor Earle. Do either of you have a report? Councillor Earle?
No meeting, but I think they've been stressing the idea that water levels are a little low, but that shouldn't surprise anybody.
True enough.
And the meeting is tomorrow night, the board meeting, so.
Thank you very much. St. Lawrence Lodge, we have Councillor Kalivas and Councillor Severson. Councillor Kalivas?
Pass.
Pass, nothing to report. Okay, all is good at the lodge. That's good. The Brockville Public Library Board, Councillor Fullarton, Councillor Hobbs, and Councillor Wales are also assisting there. But
I was at the meeting last night. One thing I just wanted to highlight quickly is that we had a very nice letter from one of our library service users. And the service that they use is the home delivery, so that you can contact the library if you can't get to the library, and you can suggest a book that you want, or our library staff will choose something for you. We have, of course, print materials and audio books, and they deliver them. And we have volunteers who, as well as staff, that go and do those deliveries. And it's a great service. And the letter we had in recognition of that program was very supportive, and just saying what what a great service it was, and how it really brightened their their reading experience to have those materials delivered right to their home. So just one of the other great things that the library does.
thank you, Councillor Fullerton. I maybe just take the opportunity to note further information to follow on this, but it's not usual to have 3 members of council sitting on any board, and certainly not the Brockville Public Library Board. Councillor Hobbs and Councillor Fullerton have offered their services there the last few months. I've been attending a number of those meetings too, but at some point soon we will be seeking public interest in filling those seats, because the idea is that it be a minimum of elected officials, and it should be members of the public. So hopefully people in the community will respond, and we will especially be looking for financial skills, HR, business management, that sort of thing. So more to follow in the near future. Next we have Downtown Brockville, BIA, Councillor Deery. Anything to report?
The next meeting is tomorrow night, but they do have I like to mention when the next Shop the Street is happening, and that's going to be Saturday, September 6th from 10 a.m. till 4. So we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but always good to mention.
Thanks, Councillor Deery. And the Brock Trail Advisory Committee, Councillor Fullerton.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Brock Trail had a presentation at last month's meeting about procedures for becoming a member of council, because they have a new or a committee of council. They're just new to that, so we've gone through that, and they've been spending time again on design details for the John Taylor Park, which is that little parkette just west of the Tom Daly Bridge, and plans are coming along nicely. If anybody wants to donate, please contact the city, and we can facilitate that, because yes, we've got some great plans for it, but all the funds aren't raised yet. So
Can we ask how far away from the target you are?
well, we don't have all the pricing in yet, so we're not 100% sure of what we're going to need, but certainly, starting with some decorative fencing, and just starting to go out for tenders on some of those things. And as well, we're going to have a Corton steel, and you could see one in Hardy Park at the front. It's a man sort of leaning against a tree, and there are waves in the water, and it's sort of that rough, that steel, it rusts, so it doesn't need any maintenance, but it's cutouts, and it's going to be a family. So again, we're doing the design details for that, and how it's going to be, the technical aspects of how it's going to be fixed on the base, and make sure no skateboarders are going to use it as a rail and those types of things. So the committee is working on those details, but they've raised $43,000 to date. But because we're looking at doing some fencing along the sluiceway, that's going to be a little more expensive than just chain link. We feel there's more money needed for the project. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Fullarton. Thanks for the report. Well, thank you. That covers this group of boards and committees. Thank you all for your hard work on these and appreciate the updates. We'll move now to the bylaws. They are listed in the agenda and they would be approved by the following motion that reads bylaws numbered 065 2025 to 069 2025 be introduced and the same now be read a first, second, and third time, signed by the mayor and clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be recorded. Councillor Kalivas, will you move that? Thank you. Councillor Lavergne, will you second? Thank you. And by show of hands, all in favor? That is carried. Don't think there are likely any further announcements, and we'll move to media question period.
All right. Just said a silent prayer that 3 or 4 minutes of very crucial council video will survive the transition to the website because yeah, very interesting. Okay. I wanted to ask about the police fund. Does it still include the provision that deficits, I think the idea that deficits are covered by the taxpayer, in other words, that police deficits do not come from this reserve fund, but will still come from general taxation, and whether that's something that was taken into consideration?
Correct. If there is a surplus in the police budget, they will retain that in this fund. If there is a deficit in the regular operating budget of Brockville Police, that will come back to the city's responsibility.
Okay. So just going to Councillor Earle's point, is that how the other reserve funds work? That if, say, the water reserve or some other reserve started to dry up, that there's no alternate method? It doesn't come from a particular department, it comes from general taxation?
Yeah, well, you can't really compare water and wastewater because they're entirely separate. There's various mechanisms, but I guess anything internal to the city, the ultimate place to go if more funding is needed is fiscal policy reserve. Councillor Kalivas and I were talking about how St. Lawrence Lodge works. I mean, provide an annual allotment. There's no necessary reporting back as to whether all that was needed or not, and the lodge would retain, any surplus that they have, although they don't necessarily come back to the municipalities if there's a deficit, although I suppose they might be forced to if they had no other option.
Okay. Okay, I wanted to circle back to the Windsor Drive fire. It'd be helpful that the police chief is here because I'm wondering, is there a figure on how many people are displaced? I think you mentioned 28 units. How many actual people are out deprived of accommodations right now?
And I know the 28 unit number. I don't know if Councillor Kalivas has a closer number on the number of individuals, or if Chief Noonan might.
I can't say for sure, but obviously more than 28. So you could probably, add another 10 or 15 or so, you know what I mean? Yeah. Not necessarily 2 per unit. There's a lot of people that are single in those units, but there are a number of those that are like husband, wife, or partners, or that sort of thing. So it's definitely more than 28. But I can't give you a figure. I don't know exact number.
I think that the vast majority would be senior citizens, and I don't believe there are any families with children in the building. Councillor Kalivas, no.
Is this like a building like the one on Millwood nearby that's geared for seniors?
I don't think it was necessarily intended for seniors, but that's just sort of what it's become.
Okay.
And it is a condominium, not an apartment building.
Okay.
Although some of the people who live there rent the unit from the person who owns the unit.
Okay.
And others are owner occupied.
All right. Just for the sake of clarity, since we're going to report this, would ask Councillor Kalivas, what is your connection to this? Is it an ownership connection of some sort, or personal, family, or
Yes, a combination of both. Certainly we own myself and my wife own a couple of units, and her family own a number of units combined. Their father built the building back in 1978. So, and it was apartments at that time, and it's been since turned over into condos. So,
okay. Okay, that's good. And I wanted to ask about so the United Way has 2 funds going. One for immediate relief, I guess, for the emergency relief for these folks who are displaced. But you mentioned another one for enhancing first response. And I guess that's where I'm curious, because first responders generally, police, fire, EMS, whatever you will, they're funded by the municipal sector. So
Yeah.
we're not raising money for
No.
first responding unit
So
agencies, right?
The Urgent Needs Fund is in place and has been used. So right now it's paying for additional hotel nights and so forth for people that don't have coverage and providing things such as that. That fund already exists. The emergency response grant is new, and it was explained to me that a charity like the United Way can't go out and raise money to give to a specific individual. They can raise money and issue tax receipts to give money to needs in the community, but they can give this money to the United Counties, or they can give it to victim services, for example, who can then directly deliver those funds to people who have specific personal needs. So the reason that they're setting up this emergency response grant is that if the United Counties, which has various programs, but might not have enough cash on hand to deal with, out of a fund to deal with this particular situation, the counties could apply to this emergency response grant and then directly deliver funds to these individuals.
Okay, so the end recipient here are individuals, not agency, and not services.
That's right. It just has to flow through a service agency, because the United Way can't give it directly to somebody impacted by a fire like the county or victim services could.
Okay. Not having any firefighters here, unfortunately, but does anybody know whether the cause of the fire has been determined and whether the fire marshal's investigation is concluded?
I don't have an answer on either of those questions for you. I know there's not a conclusive answer as to what caused the fire, but whether the investigation is over, I don't believe so. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, and since the police are here, it's not considered suspicious or possibly criminal in nature or anything like that?
I wouldn't have an answer to that. Chief Noonan, do you have any comment?
Sorry, through you, your worship. No, we don't have an answer definitively for that right now. And our forensic officer is still involved with the fire marshal's office. But Inspector Boyd could update you anytime you want to give him a shout. Thanks.
Okay, so I guess tomorrow you'll be sending out the active links where people can donate, and so
Yeah, I'm going to put it out on behalf of the municipality, and the United Way similarly will issue the information. Chances are the county will be sharing this information as well.
Okay, so somebody mentioned Comfort Inn. So is that the folks providing them accommodations right now, the ones who are on the street otherwise?
Yeah, the night of the fire, one of the roles victim services plays is to get people temporarily accommodated when they've lost their home. And so victim services made arrangements with Comfort Inn, happened to have enough rooms available and enough capacity, and within just a couple of hours that was set into place, and we got people moved over from the Bethel Christian Reformed Church Hall. The church opened the hall for everyone to get temporary shelter in, and Brockville Transit moved everyone over to the hotel about 11 o'clock on Thursday night.
Okay. Okay, this final question here. Somebody tell me a bit more about the voter rolls, why Elections Ontario is taking over municipal voter rolls. Is this sort of an upload of a cost to compiling a voters list, that sort of thing?
I don't have the why, but one of the people on either side of me might. Madam Clerk?
Thank you. Through you. For a number of years, clerks and municipalities across the province have really advocated for some change to our voter list management, which was previously done by MPAC. And even MPAC themselves often kind of questioned why they were involved, or at least responsible for overseeing it. So after many years of advocating, Elections Ontario has been given the direction to lead that. And so we're very hopeful that voters lists will be improved, and do encourage everyone to check. There will be a website that we'll share in the spring for registering to vote, or to make sure that you're on the voters list. And we just hope that it's a more successful list.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
I just want to add, it was a very fascinating presentation for people that are into that sort of thing with the chief electoral officer, but the number of data sources that Elections Ontario has to capture who is eligible to vote in an election, it's quite something. So everything from Canada revenue to driver's licenses to, a number of different data sources. So chances are everyone's going to find everything is correct, but best to make sure. Thanks, Mr. Zajac. All right, with that, we are going to move into closed session at this point in time. The motion reads that pursuant to Municipal Act 2001, Section 239, Sub 2 B and C, Council resolve itself into closed session at 6:40 p.m., close to the public to consider. There are two personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, specifically committee membership. And secondly, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, specifically 36 to 46 King Street West and other property matters. Councillor Hobbs, will you move that? Councillor Earle, will you second that? All in favor? That is carried. We'll move into closed session and take a short recess before we do. Thank you.